Oregon needs Kenyon Sadiq to stay healthy. I don't have any worries about that, by the way. I'm just saying, as a general note, throwing it out there, there is not a position group on Oregon's team that would suffer more of a drop off if the starter got injured than tight end. And I am including quarterback, I am including running back, any spot, linebacker, any spot you want to go to. After what I saw in the spring game a while ago, I think this room is probably the lowest grade. Not probably. It is the lowest grade on the team. I felt that going into the spring game. I feel that coming out of it as well. So this is a position group that has Kenyon Sadiq, Jamari Johnson, the Louisville transfer, third-year guy, AJ Pugliano, who I don't know if we saw at all in the spring game, Roger Saliapaga, who I think is still working his way back from injury a little bit, and Vander Plug, the true freshman, who made a couple of really nice catches in the spring game. And Kenyon Sadiq has really grown his own hype train throughout the offseason. I've contributed to that, admittedly, because the guy is just a freak athlete. He's in the 6'4.5", 6'5" range, up to like 250 pounds, graded higher than Terrence Ferguson did last year, according to Pro Football Focus. When you talk about Oregon's receiving weapons, you can't overlook this guy. Because, yeah, he's a tight end, but he can be a heck of a lot more than your run-of-the-mill tight end. And Oregon's offense has used them a lot in the screen game. They used Sadiq a lot last year. They used Terrence Ferguson as well. I think those will kind of all be Sadiq reps now, based on what we've seen. Maybe another guy can emerge like a Roger Saliapaga or Jamari Johnson, but overall, I was not impressed. There weren't a ton of plays. It's just a spring game. It's just a spring game. I'm trying not to overreact to it, but I think the tight end room has questionable depth. And I'll explain my overall grade a little bit later on, but I'm going to gas up Kenyon Sadiq a little bit more. The hurdle that he put on display in that game was just fantastic. And Brock Thomas, the quarterback, hit him on a deep ball down the field. He's not like any other tight end Oregon has had. I love David Paulson. I love Terrence Ferguson, Ed Dixon, Colt Lyra, all the guys. They're not running a deep post corner or deep over route 40 yards down the field. That's not something they could do. But Sadiq is just a monster, just an absolute monster. And he's also an excellent blocker. I think we're going to see that a lot this year. Oregon needs that. I thought Tefrig was a solid blocker last year. They use him a lot in those sprint out concepts. Of course, tight ends have to block in the run game. I don't think Sadiq is going to have a problem with that at all. I think he can quickly become a household name, not just in this Oregon offense, but in the Big Ten or national college football landscape, because he made those 2 touchdown catches in the Big Ten championship game. He had the hurdle in that one. I think he's going to make some more plays throughout the year, and everybody will turn their head and go, oh, that looks like a first-round pick of tight end, because he kind of does. So, other notes from the spring game on this position group, I thought Vander Plug had a couple of really nice plays over the middle. He had a great catch, one in particular that was kind of in traffic when Achilles Smith Jr. was throwing on the run. He definitely looked, Vander Plug did, the true freshman, like he wasn't quite ready to step into a blocking role. So, it was one day, but again, true freshman, not a lot of guys really are. And Sadiq was, as a true freshman. Other tight ends can be, but, Plug is 6'6", 223, and he's someone that I don't think goes in the jumbo package right now in order to provide an extra blocker, unless he has to. Right? I don't think that's, primarily where he's going to be at timeline wise. So I love Sadiq. I could not love him anymore. I will sing his praises from now until the end of time. But going into spring ball, I had this room graded as a C+, slightly above average. After watching the spring game, I knock it down to a C. And there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, I'm a tough grader. I'm a very tough grader. C is average. I don't think Oregon has, compared to the rest of the conference or the country, a below average position group on the entire roster. I think Sadiq is bringing this grade up a a lot. A lot. Because Jamari Johnson, going into his third year of college football, coming over from Louisville, former 4-star recruit, had some talent there, but hasn't produced a lot at the college level just yet. So big expectations for him at that spot. Last year you could put 2 tight ends on the field and they were legitimate weapons. I don't know that Oregon has that this year. If Roger Saliapaga is healthy, I think he's the most interesting of all of these prospects after Kenyon Sadiq. And I love that Sadiq is there. And I was having a conversation with one of you last time I talked about this room saying, well, wait, if Sadiq's such a high-end player, why is the grade so low? Because I'm not evaluating one player. I'm evaluating the entire room. If the room is one injury away from there are no impact players in the room, especially for the offensive side of the ball, that's a problem. That is a problem. So I hope that this position group develops beyond what I expect or what other people or not what I expect and just what we have all seen so far. But primarily, just keep Kenyon Sadiq healthy. It'll probably be okay. But Jamari Johnson, a third-year guy, had a one-on-one in the end zone, and I think it was Naeem Offord or Trey McNutt who broke it up. Heck of a play there by the true freshman. And it does, on the one hand, make me excited about what that secondary can be, not just this year, but especially in the years to come with those 5 stars on the back end. It doesn't instill me with a ton of confidence that a third-year player is getting cooked by a true freshman regardless of star ratings. So I think that if this room can just be solid behind Kenyon Sadiq, it will be okay. But in the last couple of years, we have seen 2 or 3 tight ends make material impacts on the offense. I don't know where that comes from this position group. I don't know where it is. I don't think that it is there. So I definitely have my eye on what goes on here, because if you think about the way I've looked at all these position groups, and will continue to do so here on the show, there are plenty of other spots where if a guy were to go down, yes, there'd be a drop-off, but it wouldn't suddenly be, well, you don't have any impact players there. Like, think about the defensive line, which is probably the highest grade I'll give to a position group on the team. It was going into the spring game. Spoiler alert, it will be coming out of the spring game as well. If you took away an NFL caliber guy in Mateo Uyunglele, the defensive line would not be as good. Not trying to argue that. However, it would not be void of guys who I felt like you could rely on to be playmakers, at least from time to time, if not consistently. Because you'd still have Amari Washington in there, who I think is an NFL caliber player. You still have Tatum Tuioti, who could definitely make an NFL roster one day. You still have Bear Alexander or, Terrence Green, Aiden Breland. Like, there were so many guys that looked like they were impact players in that spring game. And I came away from the tight end room going, well, Vander Ploeg can catch the ball. That's great. If he's more of a receiving threat, you got to be able to do both at the tight end spot. So I think it's a first world problem for this to be Oregon's weakest position group, because you have a guy who is a first round caliber NFL talent. Maybe because of position, he isn't. We just saw 2 tight ends, of course, go in the first round. So it is possible. And we saw Brock Bowers go in the first round. Sadiq can be that sort of guy. So I think he's pulling the whole room up. There's a lot on his shoulders this year because there is not proven production in any way behind him. Whereas, you look at the receiver room or the running back room, let's say Mekhi Hughes goes down. Well, I think Mekhi Hughes is a little better than Noah Whittington, but I don't think Oregon's run game would suddenly become anemic. I don't think that if, Evan Stewart got hurt, which has happened before, or, last year Tez Johnson went down. Yeah, Oregon's pass game wasn't quite as good, wasn't incompetent. You still had playmakers all over the place. So I've got some questions about the tight end room, and hopefully those get resolved as fall camp kicks back up in August. But Kenyon Sadiq, maybe the most singularly important player to a position group on the entire roster. I think the drop-off from Dante Moore to Austin Novosad is significantly less, hypothetically, significantly less than Kenyon Sadiq to whoever had worked their way to be in the number 2 tight end.